For many years, Tiffany Henyard has been regarded as one of the worst mayors in American history. She has been accused of squandering government dollars, and there is ample evidence to support these claims. These assertions stay tuned as we unearth the truth, as we examine the specifics of her behavior in this inquiry.
Residents of Dalton deserve nothing less than a government that is fully accountable, responsive, transparent, and effective stewards of your precious tax dollars.
In order to look into Mayor Tiffany Henyard's financial management, the Village Board recruited former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who found early warning indications of serious financial mismanagement. The Village is not only heavily indebted, but its credit card usage has also gotten out of control. Henyard allegedly used the Village credit cards for personal purchases from stores like Amazon, Target, Walgreens, Wayfair, and others. According to Lightfoot, the general fund balance of Dalton was $5.61 million in April 2022, but by May 2024, it had fallen to a deficit of $3.65 million. Some reports even claimed that some of the money was used to renovate Henyard's opulent home. Henyard, the so-called super mayor, is also accused of authorizing a check for $500,610 to repave her mother's driveway using taxpayer funds. In a recent development, the FBI showed up at her door with a list of alleged corrupt activities, demanding disciplinary files and personnel records for 29 Dalton employees, as well as contracts and payments made to Henyard's top. After longtime supervisor Frank Zucker passed away in 2022, Assistant Keith Freeman, who also works for Thornton Township, was elected as the youngest and first female mayor of Dalton Henyard in 2021. Her tenure as supervisor of Thornton Township was initially greeted with great expectations, but it has since become embroiled in controversy.
The villages, do you think, are opposed to this?
The majority of them?
All of them.
All of them?
All the ones that signed.
The mayor, although she is often in the news, Tiffany Henyard's actions have been a major source of controversy, and her alleged misuse of taxpayer funds may very well be the end of her political career. Her notoriety stems primarily from the growing list of scandals surrounding her, where she has been accused of using public funds for her personal benefit, leading to Henyard's 5-day trip to Austin in July 2023, where she was joined by her top assistant Keith Freeman and 3 township officials, is one example of the widespread outrage reports that she has been using taxpayer funds for unnecessary luxuries, ranging from lavish vacations and personal security to hiring her own hairstylist. Over $20,000 of Dalton taxpayer funds were used on their trip, which included $1,600 at the posh Fairmont Austin Hotel, $389 at Chris Steakhouse by Ruth, $413 at a nearby Walgreens, and $53 on sports and riding apparel. Officials have not offered a compelling reason for the travel beyond admitting they went. Even though the community is struggling with the growing multi-million-dollar debt, Henyard's extravagant spending continues to fuel the controversy, raising questions about her priorities and leadership. Local trustee Jason House has also expressed concerns about Henyard's tendency to take lavish vacations with village staff.
Homeless behind her raising our taxes. And you said that you have good business skills. Then you should take a look at the budget again.
You are a public servant. You serve us.
As public dissatisfaction with Mayor Tiffany Henyard's management of the village's finances and her contentious spending grew, Trustee Jason House realized that change was desperately needed. The community was growing more and more irate over Henyard's alleged misappropriation of public funds, careless financial choices, and extravagant personal expenses. Resolved to act as a result of the growing discontent, House boldly decided to run for mayor in 2025. His campaign is motivated by a strong desire to bring accountability and integrity back to the office residents. A committed public servant who is aware of the needs of the village has pledged to address the problems that have. Jason House's campaign offers a hopeful alternative to voters seeking responsible leadership and a focused approach to managing the village's resources. As he pledges to prioritize fiscal responsibility and address issues that plagued Dalton under Henyard's leadership, such as the increasing multi-million-dollar debt and the lack of transparency in local government. Moral leadership, it's evident that House's message of reform is striking a chord with locals who are ready for a change in leadership as the 2025 election approaches. House is pitching himself as a candidate who can guide Dalton towards a more secure and prosperous future.
Today, I'm here to proudly announce my candidacy for mayor of Dalton in February of 2000.
Dalton has experienced a number of escalating challenges under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's direction, most notably unresolved licensing concerns that have led to the closure of multiple enterprises. One prominent example is the Lawrence Gardner Trucking Company, which has been inactive since January. In 2023, the village accused Gardner of selling alcohol at a private celebration without a license. Gardner refutes the charge, and a court rules in his favor, speculating that there might have been other reasons. He says the village's actions are motivated by the fact that soon after Henyard assumed office, a number of local he and other company owners were urged to donate $3,500 to the village, even though the FBI has not acknowledged that they are looking into Henyard. Henyard has been under fire from trustee Kiana Beer for the village's financial mismanagement, and Gardner claims he has been in discussions with them for months. While Henyard put her personal safety first, Legislative Council member Bert Odian denounced the loss of 6 police cars, which also resulted in a lack of personnel.
Narrative because it is not the truth. It's only one-sided, and it's a shame that the media comes out and they only show negative things.
At a demonstration demanding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's resignation and a thorough examination of her spending, several dozen Thornton Township residents assembled. Anger about the questionable use of taxpayer monies and the lack of accountability and transparency drove the march called "Take Our Township Back." Despite growing accusations, Henyard has strongly denied any wrongdoing, and many locals are angry over her full control over spending since she has prevented any other city officials from approving expenditures, giving her complete authority over the budget. She defends herself by pointing the finger at the Dalton Board's Boys Club, saying they are impeding her advancement. In March 2024, she was charged with embezzling $67,000 in public funds for personal trips, and she has receipts to support her claims. Instead of taking accountability, the Dalton Board requested a thorough investigation, the village's financial records, and the FBI's assistance to shed light on the matter. At a board meeting, Henyard asserted that she had been the target of a personal attack and dismissed the accusations as part of a biased narrative. In the village hall meeting, she acknowledged the $2 million deficit, but it was later discovered that she had minimized the true scope of the financial crisis. According to Revelations, the deficit shortfall was even more. Former trustee Edward Steve noted that Henyard may place the blame elsewhere, but she ultimately needed to examine her own behavior. One victim, Valeria Stump, a former trustee, said that after publicly criticizing Henyard, 2 of her vehicles were fired on by a hitman purportedly employed by the May Stumps. Henyard has also been accused of stifling opponents by reportedly targeting individuals who speak out against her. This situation highlights the alleged self-serving and unethical behavior surrounding Henyard leadership. Henyard had developed close ties with the police department to ignore complaints against her. The situation escalated when a former assistant of Henyard spoke out about being harassed by a trustee on the Henyard board. The assistant reported the harassment to Henyard, but the mayor allegedly told her not to speak out because he thought it would ruin her. Despite filing a complaint, the assistant was eventually placed on unpaid medical leave and later fired.
And everybody said no, or they had something else to do, but Andrew. Miles did say that if he's done doing whatever he was doing, he'll catch up with us. Okay, so fine, but I at least knew I got a man with me, I'm gonna make it home. I ain't even gotta worry about try to go on the strip by myself. I legitimately thought that, I was gonna make it home.
A comparable circumstance involved Tiffany Henyard's former maintenance manager, Dwayne Thrash, who sued the mayor after being fired while on vacation. Thrash says he was fired for declining to take part in a plot involving the impatience of Henyard, and her assistant in dismissing a present lawyer and substituting them with a law company that the mayor's assistant prefers has also led to tensions during public meetings, which are frequently tense and filled with resentment from locals. In her single speech, Henyard stated, "I'm about to address some things. There will be no comments, no." Despite the cancellation of a special meeting of the Thornton Township trustees, the 5 current trustees were not there. If you don't want to hear what I'm saying, you can leave. This is just me telling you what's happening. If you don't want to hear it, you can go. The confrontation demonstrated her uncompromising approach towards criticism.
About 100 residents showed up at the meeting tonight, but only 42 residents were allowed inside. They had to walk through metal detectors and they were warned.
Tiffany Henyard's casual attitude towards her position as mayor has taken a concerning turn, as evidenced by her recent board meeting behavior. In one particularly noteworthy event, she attended a meeting wearing a costume modeled after the character Nino Brown from the movie New Jack City. Choice has caused the public to doubt her commitment to her job. According to Chiana Belcher, Henyard antics has made politics into a farce, pointing out that her dressing like a movie character is one example of behavior that devalues. At a recent board meeting, Trustee Mann publicly denounced her for predatory and unethical behavior while she was the supervisor of Thornton Township. Carmen, the mayor of Dalton, claimed that Henyard had used residents, employees, and vendors to increase her power and influence while presenting a false picture of success that was paid for with taxpayer dollars. This further damaged the credibility of local government in the matter. Meeting the issues surrounding Henyard's leadership began in 2019 when CBS in Chicago discovered significant issues with the rental property she owned. The property, for which Henyard was receiving Section 8 housing subsidies, had serious mold and water leakage issues. Carmen admitted that she had previously overspent lavishly, but she and the other trustees voted to implement new restrictions on special event spending and credit card use. The Jacqueline Smith claimed that by November 2019, the property was deemed uninhabitable and the tenant was evicted. Despite these conditions, Henyard allegedly continued to cash Section 8 payments for the property without fixing the problems, and the mold had even grown in her daughter's shoes. Following additional investigations that exposed concerning property inspection procedures, the scandal garnered public attention.
And that's where it started, and then it just spread it. Frustrating, irritating. I just don't feel that I should be living like that.
Tiffany Henyard's political career took a sharp turn in October 2020 when she began to harshly criticize Mayor Riley Rogers' tenure and policies after the public became aware of her contentious history. Soon after defeating Rogers in a fierce 4-way primary to secure the Democratic nomination, Henyard had an unexpected success in the mayor election, defeating challenger Ronnie Burge with 82% of the vote. At first, Henyard was praised by many for, despite her early success, breaking barriers as the first Black woman to serve as mayor. Her historic accomplishment garnered a lot of support. However, over time, Henyard started to use her identity as a defense, frequently citing her race when she faced criticism. In February, during a particularly heated board meeting, she yelled at trustees, saying, "You all should be ashamed of yourselves for attacking a Black woman in power." Henyard's term was characterized by ongoing conflicts, especially with trustees and the Village Board of Trustees. We are from Kiana Allison Key, the village clerk, and Jason's house for 6 months. Henyard and her trustees were able to work together in relative harmony until the trustees accused her of financial mismanagement, which sparked intense public scrutiny. By April 2022, the village board had filed a lawsuit against Henyard, accusing her of misusing municipal funds. This was the end of what had begun as a partnership, and the group had begun to band together against her. Corruption and improper use of tax dollars. Henyard, on the other hand, persisted in playing the victim and accused the trustees of planning the assault on her. She even went so far as to bar the trustees from their own offices, disseminate their confidential documents in public places, and interfere in their private lives, creating havoc. Board meetings turned into a never-ending battle because Henyard would not accept the growing evidence of her suspected wrongdoing.
I wouldn't trust this woman if she stood on a stack of Bibles and had her tongue notarized. Not a damn thing she says comes out her mouth.
I'm heartbroken that this woman entered our town and used all of our tax dollars. One local told Fox 32 that our elderly population cannot even buy the most basic requirements. During a meeting's public comment period, another resident said, "I suspected it all along. This administration is shameful." A third resident said, "We're all waiting for the fall of this administration." Additionally, there were growing accusations against Tiffany Henyard. The community still demands accountability, with many calling for strict action and even jail time despite her absence. They feel betrayed by the misuse of taxpayer money for her personal gain while the needs of the community went unmet. This, along with her lack of support, caused her to retreat from the public eye. Although Henyard enjoyed initial support, she quickly shattered those hopes within months. Although the community's needs were not met, Tiffany Henyard's rise to supervisor of Thornton Township was unexpected, with many not expecting her election. Trustees had 60 days to select a successor for the late Frank Zika, and following a tumultuous process, Henyard was elected. No one anticipated her appointment, and during one of her first board meetings, she promised the residents and staff that she would work hard, act responsibly, and put the needs of the people first. Previously known as the People's Trustee, I am currently the People's Mayor and Supervisor, and she swiftly announced the sad events. Contradicted these statements by revealing at her second meeting that a different side was firing 2 employees, one from the Human Resources Department and the other a former executive assistant to Zuka. The firing seemed to be the result of misunderstandings that caused tension. Henyard also attacked the previous administration for using public funds to pay for opulent vacations to Eaglewood Resort and Spa, saying she would never permit personal expenses like spa visits to be, she said, funded by taxpayers. That's a big red flag, and it won't be condoned under my watch. However, Henyard's actions quickly contradicted her own statements. She denied using public funds for personal luxuries, but later used taxpayer money to renovate her own home and her mother's, exposing a glaring hypocrisy. As public outrage grows, people are trying to hold Henyard accountable, but it's unclear if she will come forward with proof to defend herself. Whether she will eventually acknowledge her wrongdoings or not is still up in the air. She keeps avoiding the spotlight, which makes life harder for her and those around her. However, as pressure and attention mount, her escape may not last long as everyone gets a better understanding of her tenure. Until we meet again, thanks for watching Visual Vortex.